Hey everyone, Corinne here, one of your co-hosts of Fishing Stories. I want to first thank you all for listening along. We really do appreciate it. You are about to listen to episode 7 of our first season of Fishing Stories, but before you do that, we just wanted to let you know that while we record and edit up our next episodes, there's going to be a quick break between new episodes coming into your feed. We'll be back soon, so be sure to subscribe to Fishing Stories wherever you listen so that you don't miss new episodes when they come. And while you're there, you might as well leave us a review. We'd really appreciate that. In the meantime, if you have any questions or even your own fishing story, we'd love to hear it. Shoot us an email at tellusafishingstory@gmail.com. We look forward to bringing you new episodes shortly, but in the meantime, we hope you enjoy episode 7 coming right up.
I'm Garrison Doctor.
And I'm Corinne Doctor.
And this is Fishing Stories.
Fly fishing takes us to incredible places, right in our backyard and across the world. We are here to tell the stories of those adventures.
On this episode, we talk with guide, artist, and our friend Johann Du Preez out of South Africa.
And he takes us all around the world, really, because that's where fly fishing has taken him. We get a glimpse of some giant tigerfish.
Yep, we talk about some flats fishing in the Sudan. We talk about fishing the beaches at night in West Africa.
Where elephants are accustomed to people. So with that teaser.
Yeah, really dive in and enjoy. We certainly learned a lot about some fisheries we were not super familiar with, especially in Africa. And also stay tuned for a little sneak peek at some new RepYourWater gear coming out that you'll hear in this episode as well.
All right, without further ado, we're diving in with Johann. Hey, Johann, are you there?
Hey, yes, I'm here. How about you guys?
Oh, man, we're here. We're just enjoying a nice little rainy Sunday.
Yeah, not too bad over here.
That's good news.
Yeah, well, it's good to talk to you.
Yeah, good to catch up.
We're excited to talk about all of your adventures. You've obviously been on many a worldwide fishing adventure, but before we get into all of that, why don't you just give us a quick little elevator pitch, who you are, where you are, and all of that fun.
Okay, the short version, I'm a South African fishing guide, part-time artist, and I've spent the last, it's more or less 5 years now, full-time in the fly fishing industry. I've done a bit of guiding in South Africa, Lesotho, Tanzania. I've been to Sudan in North Africa, across to South America, in Bolivia, and I'm currently spending a lot of time in Guyana, in South America.
Yeah, that's for Arapaima, right?
That's about it. Yes, that's the Arapaima project with the Indie Fly Foundation.
That's awesome.
Spectacular.
Yeah, it's a fun project.
Well, we met Johann at the International Fly Tackle Dealer Show last year.
When it was going on. So that was October 2019. And I remember, Johann, you and I met at the Drake Film Awards. Super loud, super dark, but, you know, we still at least covered the fact that you're an awesome artist and you at least were familiar with RepYourWater, so it's been kind of a fun connection to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think IFTD is such a great platform to meet people. I'm super happy that I ran into you guys.
And from my perspective, it's been really fun getting to know you a little bit and also getting to know your art more. And obviously, I've been following you ever since. And I'm just loving the work that you're coming out with and find it really inspiring. So that's been fun for me to watch that journey a little bit just within the last year even.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fun for me as well working with you guys. And I think there's been a lot of growth in my art. Simply because I've been forced to do more of it. So yeah, it's been a fun year so far.
Nothing like quarantine to keep that pen moving on the paper, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, but it's been good.
Well, I think it was on your Instagram that you said that you were originally trained in cartoon art. Is that right?
I've done a few cartoons. I think that's sort of where it started, where the commercial aspect started. So people had me do cartoons, and I did cartoons for the school newspaper. And yeah, I think that sort of got me going as an artist. Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's awesome. Well, we should also just kind of tell the people, without going into too much detail, that we do have some collaborative gear, artist edition gear coming out featuring some of Johann's art. Keep an eye out for that. We are very excited for those artist pieces.
Yeah, it's great. I cannot wait to see them roll out.
Yeah, that's a quick tease. Spring 2021.
Spring 2021.
Northern Hemisphere spring.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's right.
For the South Africans, I've got no idea when that is. So
it's just your
it's
fall.
Next year sometime.
Yeah, February, March, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, our fall.
Well, we're excited to hear some of your tales from guide life and, out on the many adventures. Why don't you tell us a fishing story?
Well, yeah, I guess there are a few fishing stories that stand out over the last couple of years, but I think the one that really sticks with me is what happened in Sudan in 2018. Just a little bit of background. I was guiding for an operator called African Waters. At that time, they were called the Red Fishing, which is a story in itself. But guiding for them on the Red Sea in the Nubian Flats, and it's like any other flats fishery. It's great for bonefish, permit, barracuda, bluefin, GTs, the whole lot. But it's especially well known for triggerfish. And it's one of those fisheries that you go there for triggerfish and everything else is a bonus, right?
Yeah.
So this one week we had a kind of a mixed bag of guests. We had this old Japanese-American guy, such a sweet guy, and a chap from the UK, 2 Germans that have fished with us several times, good friends of ours, and then these 2 Norwegians. And the story is about the Norwegians, and one of them in particular, right? So this is kind of an embarrassing story, so I will leave his name out just for the sake of protecting his identity, because he was a super nice guy.
That's fair.
So I Googled the most popular Norwegian names to substitute his, so I'll just call him Jan. Okay, so Jan's kind of a popular Norwegian name. And his friend was named Thor, which I think is very appropriate, and we'll stick to that. Okay, so this is Jan and Thor. What's important about Jan is that he was this very, very much Viking-looking dude. Okay, he was big, like pushing 250, 260 pounds.
That's a big boy.
Yeah.
He's a big boy, right? And he had, he looks like he could swing an axe. Typical Viking-looking dude. And he had a big laugh. Really cool guy. The main aim of the story is not to shame him. Okay, so whatever happens, don't think any less of him.
He's still a big tough Viking.
We all have our moments.
Yes, exactly. We'll just get into it, shame, poor guy. So the fishing was pretty good, and everybody got into fish that week. It's one of those typical fun, everybody had a great time kind of weeks. People got trigger fish and they got everything wanted, but the Vikings, they still wanted, to conquer that big GT. But the GT fishing in Sudan, it's not all that easy. So you have to work really hard, and every shot you need to make it count. And we lose a lot of fish because the coral is very sharp, and the starters have to line up in order for you to get that big GT. So now I was like day 6. I was the last day of the trip, and they still hadn't caught their GTs yet. So we had to make a plan. And the older Japanese guy he's the hero in their story, because he wanted to go catch one last little triggerfish, and he asked me just to go out for a morning session with him. And we went to a small flat, and I said to the Vikings, okay, you guys walk south and we'll walk north, and we'll meet up at the end. So we go off, and the old Japanese guy, he gets his little triggerfish, and he's very happy. I can hear a commotion on the other side of the sand spit in the flat. And I'm assuming, they bumped into some fish, and, everybody's happy. We meet up at the bottom of the flat, and, hey, what happened to you? Yeah, whatever the story goes. And they actually ran into a little rat pack of GT. So just for those of you who don't know, a rat pack is just like a pack of babies, right? So they each got a little baby GT, and they were happy, but they still wanted, like the big fish. So we dropped the old Japanese guy off on the boat, and he would spend the rest of the day just chilling. He was happy, but we went to this, it's like a big sandy flat that really produced a lot of good GTs for us. And we specifically reserved this flat for the last day of fishing because of how good it is. So we get there, and it was just one of those perfect days for GTs, right? Everything was on fire. We saw a lot of GTs, and they were cruising around on the flat. But no matter what we did, every time the shots just went astray, right? So every time something went wrong, we either spooked the fish, or it swam into the wrong direction, or it was out of reach, or they fumbled the cast. The usual stuff went wrong. So eventually, I'm like, okay, guys, I'm sorry, it doesn't look like we're going to get that GT. Let's just take a break and, do a normal walk for triggerfish. So they are okay with that. And Thor, he didn't care much about GTs. So he said, okay, let's get a triggerfish. And Jan was sort of, a fly line length to the right of us, walking up the flat. And of course, just as we put away the 12 weights and start fishing for triggers, guess what happens?
Uh-oh.
Big GT rocks up.
And what are you fishing for triggers with usually? An 8 or 10 or what?
Yeah, the perfect rod is pretty much just the 9 weight.
Okay.
So, 9 weight covers everything, and you're fishing like 16-pound fluoro with a small little shrimp or something. So obviously that was not going to work for a big GT.
Right.
So I turn to the right and I shout to Jan, drop the 9, get the 12 ready. And he does everything right. He drops the 9 weight in the water without thinking, gets the 12 weight off his hip, strips off line, and he's ready. And this GT's coming straight down the flat, perfectly towards him. And last minute, it just slips out. Goes off the flat and into the deep. So now we're kind of fired up. We saw a big GT. It came in on the flat. It was looking happy. It was looking for food. I said to them, okay, we're going to wait for this GT because it's going to come back. So we go set up on the edge of the flat where the fish left. And it's kind of a deep, gradual drop into open water. We get position on the bommies, on these coral bommies, and we wait. Right, so now we're all fired up, ready, got the 12 weights, all rigged up, lines off, drags are tight. Now we just have to wait. We talk a little bit of trash, this and that, and eventually this GT comes back again. And now it's making a huge, big loop around this deep water, and it's coming back down the edge of the flat. So this GT literally wants to be caught, right? He's looking for a fly.
He's asking
and
for it.
he's waiting for us to hook him, and it's the perfect spot. And everything is lined up, and I say to Jan, he's standing on my right, you ready? This is it. This is this. And he looks at me with this sort of a panic in his eyes, and he says, I can't. I've got to go take a shit. I'm like, but Jan, I don't care, man. Just take a shit in your pants. You're already in the water. This is your fish. And he loses it. He yells back at me with this panic and says, I can't. I am going to explode. And he drops his rod, runs off, and it was like less than a fly line length away from us, just behind us on the flat, drops his pants, and gets this massive shit.
Oh, no.
A proper explosive diarrhea, audible as far as you can want. It was a mess. And all the while, his perfectly lined up GT swims right past our noses. Literally like 2 rod lengths away from us, and disappears into the distance.
Oh, no.
And Thor, on the other hand, was so shocked he didn't even make a cast. And that was literally the last GT we saw that whole week.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Well,
Yeah,
we have an expression that we use sometimes of, you really shit the bed on that one. And that is
absolutely.
a more literal story of shitting the bed on the big GT than
Exactly.
most.
He shit the flat.
Oh, yeah.
It was a mess.
Oh,
Yeah, the
dear.
poor guy was like, literally, I'm going to explode. Just ran off.
Oh, dear.
Should have taken care of that when the triggerfish were around. I guess.
That's right.
Well, like we said, he's still a big, proud Viking.
That's right.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't take away from the fact that he's still intimidating, and I wouldn't mess with him.
No.
We fished with a
No shit talking about him.
No way.
No way. We fished with a spectacular group of Norwegians the last time we were in Bolivia fishing for golden dorado.
Oh, yeah.
And just enjoyed it so much. There were a couple of them in there, similar to what you're describing, some big Viking blood Norwegians, but they were such good-natured and really good fishermen too.
I was gonna say really fishy dudes.
Yeah.
And they're usually a fun bunch to hang with. I hope the Norwegians don't come knocking on my door.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, and when we were just the 2 of us, and they were a group of 5, and when we met them and they met us, you have that kind of size up, like, we're not all just random people. It's two specific groups. We ended up being really good friends with them, and we stay in touch.
Yeah, we stay in touch. It was funny when we first rolled up and we knew that it was a group of 5 Norwegians that were staying on our same hotel before we went to the jungle. And we went down to the pool, and I mean, here they are, these like giant Norwegians with a bunch of them with fish tattoos.
One of them with fish tattoos all over his
Yeah,
arms.
all over his arms, and they're just pounding beers, and we were like, oh yeah, these are our guys.
Yeah, we walked over and we said, are you guys going to the jungle? They said, you bet.
It wasn't much of a mystery at that point.
Yeah, it's great. When you rock up in an airport and you see somebody with a Sims or Patagonia bag or like a fish pond hat or something, you're like,
Yep.
that guy's easy in the group.
Yeah.
Or rod
So it's
tubes.
such
It's really easy to find tribe members.
Yep. I love it. Well, tell us another story from the African fishing life.
Well, I reckon, I guess I'll sort of recap what Africa is like. I think that's something people are not too used to.
Yeah, no, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
And it's not so much a story as I'll sort of explain how the fisheries work. And we've got a great deal of diversity in Africa, which is really awesome. And hopefully this gets people more interested in coming to Africa. It is the dark continent, but it's actually not that scary, and it's actually a pretty damn cool place. So I did a couple seasons in Tanzania, which is in East Africa, and this is just one hell of a place. If you imagine like the Lion King movie,
Oh, yeah.
you put a big river in there and you fill it up with tigerfish. That's pretty much what it's like. It's this beautiful African savanna set up with, you can see lions and leopards and buffalo.
And it seems like the Tanzanian tigerfish average higher quality than most of the like Zambezi system tigerfish, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually genetically predisposed not to be that big, right? Or the Hydrocinus vittatus, which is the Zambezi tiger, is supposed to be a bigger fish, right? Genetically, it's predisposed to grow bigger, but the fish have just been pressured so much in the Zambezi system that they just don't get to that size. Where Tanzania, it's a little bit more protected, and we fish in a concession where the fish are really well kept, and they've been protected through anti-poaching units and through the Kilimanjaro North concession. So the fish get really big. I mean, there's a lot of bait, and that's, if you want to go catch yourself a trophy 20-pound tigerfish, it's the place to be.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really spectacular. It's well worth it.
I went to Tanzania many years ago with my father, but more on just wildlife safari trip. It was before I had sort of any idea of international fly fishing potential. And my dad is not a fisherman, but nonetheless, a very memorable trip, as you can imagine.
Oh, yeah. I mean, did you guys go to Masalu or Ngorongoro?
Yeah.
Can you remember?
Yeah, we went to Ngorongoro, and boy, I'd have to look back, but quite a few different spots there in northern Tanzania.
Yeah, it's a beautiful country, and the people are super friendly.
Yeah.
The Maasai and the Swahili people are really fun, happy-go-lucky kind of people.
I love it.
I mean, that kind of trip would definitely be on my list. We've been lucky enough to travel here, North America, South America, but to try to get out beyond that for fishing would be so much fun.
Yeah.
We both did a lot of tourism trips when we were growing up, but now to experience a different culture through fishing, I think you just get a very different view of a place and people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I have to rank top 5 destinations or trips I've been to, Tanzania is well secure in the top 5.
That's awesome.
So it's a very cool place.
And
That's awesome.
I've heard people compare tigerfish to Dorado. Is that fair or no?
Yes,
Okay.
100%. I think it's having guided for both fish. They feed in a very similar way. The only difference is the water isn't as clean, generally speaking, in Africa, and they don't have that pack mentality. So you don't have them fringing up. It's not as visual as Dorado. In that sense, I think Dorado is spectacular fish. But the tigerfish, you fish deep, you fish down and dirty. It's structure-based fishing, and It's a little bit more tedious in that sense that you're not sight fishing, but my goodness, nothing hits a fly harder.
Yeah.
As far as freshwater fish goes, it definitely hits the fly the hardest out of any.
What a blast.
That's awesome. Well, let's...
It's good fun when you get line burn from the heat. Then you know you're fishing for something.
You know you're definitely in the market for a good fight at that point.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Well, I know you spent some time in West Africa as well. That's always been a spot for me that has just kind of been, I don't know, in my mind, shrouded in mystery and potential ever since many, many years ago. You know, seeing photos of absolutely gigantic tarpon and sort of kind of off-color estuary water, you know, and it's always just been a place that seems like the potential is huge.
Yeah. So if you're talking about big West African tarpon, there are two places that are really good. It's Angola and Gabon. And Gabon, I've visited a couple times, and it's one hell of a fishery. It's a very impressive thing to hook like a 150 plus pound tarpon off the beach at night. It's absolute chaos. You get your ass kicked 9 times out of 10, and it's not easy fishing. It's hard work, but the results are amazing. And there are different operators in Gabon as well. So in some places like at Sitikama, you're fishing the estuary mouth, and you're basically fishing the outgoing tides and the incoming tides. And more often than not, they put you on the beach at night, fishing in the African wilderness at night. You've got elephants.
I was going to say, that sounds like a next level situation.
It is, but it's very well controlled, and the elephants are well accustomed to human interaction. So the cool thing is you can have elephants grazing like maybe 50 meters away from you while you're fishing, and they're fairly happy-go-lucky, just doing their business, and you're just fishing. So it's one hell of an experience to do that.
That is wild. So have you hooked one of those really big ones off the beach, Johann, or have you seen this happen?
Yes. In the 2 trips that I've done, I have hooked 11 tarpon.
And how many of them kicked your ass?
9. Yes. So it's been snapped fly lines, burned reels.
Wow.
And you can hook a fish, and it's in a very strong, heavy current, right? So setting a hook into a tarpon is difficult. Then that fish is getting washed out to sea, or it runs with the current out to sea. So you have to follow that fish. And more often than not, it will come and button, or it will get in the current and just spool you. And you hear, because it's not only exclusively fly fishing orientated, you get spinning guys there as well. And every now and again, you'll hear somebody go, tarpon. And literally within seconds, you can hear our guys getting spooled on like proper spinning tackle.
Oh, wow.
So I think it's more about the experience of hooking a fish like that than it is to land it, almost.
Well, you have to enjoy the experience if you're not landing.
Right. Are you jumping in a boat as soon as you hook up?
No, you don't. You land it off the beach. This is at Sitikama, all right? This is one fishery that operates like this. But there are different fisheries, like with the guides company. It's just a little bit north of Sitikama, where they're fishing in the estuary, but off boats.
Okay.
And for some bizarre reason, the tarpon are active during the day, and you can target them off the boat. You're still getting the same numbers of fish, but you're landing more.
Right.
So it's 2 very different fisheries, very close to each other, but the fact that you can do it off the beach at night is kind of appealing to me versus being on the boat.
Yeah.
Because you can do that in a lot of places.
I can't imagine, being stuck on the shore and trying to turn a fish of that caliber is just, I can't even, and then you throw current in the mix. I mean, Corinne was hooked up last November off of a boat to a tarpon that was in the 120 pound class. And we chased this thing, all over. It was a really tough fight, but
it kicked my ass.
Yeah. But that fish isn't even the size caliber that you're talking about. And to imagine trying to turn it from the shore, that's got to be just a beast.
Yeah, it's incredible, but it can be done. I mean, they do land tarpon. The tarpon landed on fly, a very few, but they're well worth it, every one of them. And it's not the only fish you get there, of course. I mean, you're picking up big bear snapper. The biggest I've landed is about 25 kilograms.
That's a big snapper.
Boy, that's a mean fish, too. That's got to be a heck of a fight.
It's incredible. It's like looking into a steam train. Thank goodness they don't jump, right? Because otherwise you'd be in a lot of trouble. But so you're boxing big cubera. There's the African threadfin, which is a bizarre-looking fish, really cool looking. It's like I don't even know how to begin to describe it, but like a golden. It's almost tarpon shaped, but it's got these long ears hanging off the chin. Yeah, just weird.
You posted one not so long ago on your Instagram. I remember taking a long look at it because it's such a bizarre looking fish.
Yeah, they're good fun. They're strong fish, and I'm happy to eat a fly, and probably something you'll never catch in your life anywhere else.
Right.
I know they get some off the coast of Australia, but nothing like that.
Well, that's pretty cool. What's your stance on yellowfish?
Ooh, I love yellowfish. That's pretty much where the guiding career started for me. I was guiding for yellowfish in Lesotho, which is a small landlocked country inside South Africa, and it's all highland, still clean rivers, and you're sight fishing to these yellowfish on dry flies and little nymphs. It's like trout fishing, but they make these long burning runs, and they're obviously beautiful fish. We've got several species of yellowfish in South Africa. This one I'm talking about now is the smallmouth yellowfish, and it's kind of like a grayling in a sense. But then we got the largemouth yellowfish, heavy predatory fish that eat bait fishing streamers and sit on logs and rocks in our two biggest river systems. So yeah, the variety is really cool.
Yeah, I think yellowfish look like a blast to go after. I think the only thing working against them for U.S.-based anglers is that people want to compare them to carp, which are really considered a trash fish here. Obviously, a lot of people love to fly fish for them.
Yeah, I mean, we love to fish for carp,
right?
But I got to be honest, when I think about international destination fishing, the yellowfish looks like a lot. It just looks a little bit too similar to the carp that are outside my back door for me to be getting
the
super
landscape where they are.
Right. Got to factor that in.
You got to factor in the landscape, the fact that they're in running, like moving water. We've got some river carp here, but they're not, they're in like big pools, not in those quick.
Yeah, you're not going to see a river carp eating a dry fly with any type of regularity.
Oh, no.
Let's take the Orange River. The Orange River is the longest river in South Africa, and it starts in Lesotho in the highland country where we target the yellowfish on dry flies. And you follow the Orange River all the way down to the coast, to the border between Namibia and South Africa on the western side. If you go a little bit further down to this river system, you get smallmouth, largemouth yellowfish coexisting in the majority of the river. And the cool thing is you can go from swinging flies on an intermediate line for largemouth yellowfish to fishing small nymphs. You can euro nymph for them, you can indicator nymph for them, you can dry fly fish for them, you can essentially fish for a smallmouth yellowfish in 4 or 5 different ways, depending on preference. So it's a very exciting way of fishing, and the numbers are obscene. We've had up to 70, 80 fish days on the Orange River.
I think you're convincing Garrison. His little eyes lit up when you said you can euro nymph for them.
When you say that, you savage. No, but I mean, you can go there and have a lot of fun. They're not like carp.
No, that seems like a blast.
Yeah.
You'll get stopped at the border if you call them carp.
Yeah.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
I'm a believer. We're bringing Garrison around.
I'm coming around, Johann. I'm coming around.
I'm anxiously waiting.
Okay, good.
Well, South Africa is definitely on our list to get over. Through fishing, we've met a lot of good friends, and many of them are connected to or live in South Africa. So it's on the list.
Yeah, I mean, you guys will have accommodation but pretty much anywhere in South Africa by the sound of it.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
love
spot.
fishing too. I mean, the coast and inland. Yeah.
Right.
Just say when.
all right. Well, as
love
soon
it.
as the borders open up, we'll get something on the books here.
We will.
Sounds like a
Before
plan.
we move on from our story session here, just real quick to circle back to East Africa and the tigerfish, because that fishery really captures my imagination. What's the biggest tigerfish that you've seen in person from your time in East Africa?
So during our season there, I've seen 25 and 27 pound tigerfish come
Wow.
out. The biggest fish on record is 28 pounds. So, I mean, by tigerfish standards, that's incredible. The only thing bigger than that is obviously a Goliath tigerfish. And you're talking about a different animal there. But in terms of consistent number size, yeah, East Africa should be up there on the list.
That's cool. I love a fishery where even if it's the outlier, there are some potential fish of that caliber around. Just kind of changes the stakes, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, and the cool thing is we're not even talking about outliers. The guiding operation is very strict, and we keep a catch record of every single fish that's caught. I mean, every single one, whether it's a 3-pound fish or a 25-pound fish or a 10-pound fish or a 14-pound fish. And consistently over the season, your average fish sits at about 9.8 pounds.
Wow.
So that's a big tigerfish, right? And that's your average size fish. In a day, you will connect, in all likelihood, a fish in excess of 15 pounds. It's exciting to talk about numbers like that because it's very uncommon to find a consistently good fishery like that anywhere else in Africa.
Yeah, that's amazing. Are there any studies ongoing? Like, do you have any idea how old a 20-pound tigerfish is?
Yes, there have been studies done on them, doing, scale counts and all that. And it puts on about a pound a year. So you can estimate that the fish around 15 pounds should be in the 15-year range.
Wow. So that explains why, those Zambezi fish, even if they're genetically predisposed to get really big,
Yeah, if they're being overfished.
if you're being overfished, it wouldn't take a whole lot. If those fish are, in the 15-plus-year-old category, that's a long time to try to recover a fishery.
Exactly. I mean, you're going to have to stop commercial fishing and netting in that system and let it sit for a good long while before those fish will come back. And what people don't realize is, as tough as a tigerfish is, you need to take a lot of care to put it back and have it swim off strong and healthy. And that's where I can really take my hat off to the guys at African Waters, because every single fish is revived in a proper manner. And a lot of time is spent in treating this fish in the right way.
Right.
Yeah, you love to see
From
that.
the way the photos are taken, from the landing of the fish. We fish heavy lines, so we don't have to fight them for a long time. And so yeah, I mean, it's really a well-managed system.
That's
great.
cool.
Well, before we let you go, we want you to tell the people how they can see some of your art, some of your fish photos, little Instagram plug.
Yeah, tell them all the things.
Right, so basically my entire life is on Instagram. So if you want to see fish, if you want to see art, if you want to see my dog, it's all on Instagram. It's Johann Du Preez _fly fishing. I'm not going to attempt to spell this right now, but I'm sure we can put a link in there somewhere.
We'll put it in the show notes.
That's it. And I've got a YouTube channel. It's just Johann Du Preez. And got a couple of fly tying videos and a few nice fish videos on there. So yeah, if you want to check out work, that's where you can find me.
Great, and we will add both of those links to the show notes so people can find them easily.
Much appreciated.
Well, thanks so much for hanging out with us on a lovely Sunday night for you and midday for us.
Yeah.
It's good to
Such
catch
a
up.
treat. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and we're really excited about the launch of our collaborative products with your art, and then also hopefully find you on some water one day.
Yep.
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Hopefully sooner than later. And yeah, thanks for the chat and thanks for the collaboration. So it's all been good fun.
Awesome. We'll be in touch. Hopefully we'll see you on the water soon, buddy.
Okay, thank you so much. You guys take care.
You
Cheers.
too. Fishing Stories is brought to you by RepYourWater. Thank you so much for your support. If you like what you're hearing, we would really appreciate a 5-star rating on wherever you listen. And be sure that you are subscribed so that you don't miss a single episode. Thanks so much.